A lot of talk this year about whether or not Vrabel was coach of the year. And when I called around to talk to people about, who should be coach of the year, Mike Tomlin got a lot of love. LaFleur got some. Vrabel got a lot. It was interesting. It's always one of those ones where it's always a lot closer than you think it would be. I thought it'd be Vrabel running away with it. It always ends up being close because everybody sort of has their different things that they respect. Vrabel, do you feel like he was coach of the year? To be able to rotate in, I think it was 91 players over the course of the year, get a 1 seed, lose your clear MVP of your team, and be able to keep the thing afloat, and then, just long enough to get that MVP back in the fold.
It's almost like Tennessee, I'm not going to say they snuck in. That's not the right verb, but it's almost like you turn around and you're like, oh, it's like musical chairs. Oh, the season's over. They are number one, but they earned it. You're right. That run that they had at the end of the season put them in position, and to lose Derrick Henry, that would have crippled most other teams. But to be able to adjust on the fly, to make the changes while they're still moving, there are always going to be arguments for other coaches of the year, but based on that, it's tough to argue against Vrabel because of everything that Tennessee had to deal with and still come out with that crucial bye.
One thing too, I'm sure Titans fans feel beat up. They're like, God, we get crapped on. Everybody says we're the weakest number 1 seed. I think Frank said of the 8 teams, he felt like Tennessee was the weakest in this round, all this stuff. I think people underestimate that sometimes. And if Tennessee were to come out and just punch Cincinnati in the mouth and run away with this, which nobody expects, I would point at that. I would say that is where that came from. That came from a team that a lot of people disrespected all season long, and no one ever took into account, well, what are they earning right now, continuing to win and keep it together despite losing all these guys, COVID, rotating a million guys in, everything going sideways on them this season. I think there is a veteran presence, or a presence of going through it, earning some scar tissue, and then being a little tougher than maybe people expect when you get into a game like this.
Burrow can be erratic. Burrow can have a bad game. He's admitted himself. Let's say that this gets into one of those in the trenches sorts of games. Do you think that Tennessee has the edge because of Derrick Henry, or is it again going to be a kind of a see how well he plays and then ramp him up as needed?
Are they getting to Burrow? That's what I would want to know, because the thing about Burrow being erratic, there are times where he still gets beat up in games a little bit. He does have that mentality of extending plays. He had it last year, when he got hurt. He's been better about protecting himself this year, but he still took some licks. He still gets hit. And so if it's Burrow a little out of sorts, turns into a grinder, but it's Burrow out of sorts because Tennessee's affecting him up front, which is how I'd expect it would happen, is that defensive front for Tennessee. Yeah, I would have to feel pretty good about the Titans. Now, again, I don't know what Derrick Henry's going to look like. Maybe this guy only gets 10 carries, but he gets quite a few offensive snaps being used in a way that affects the defense, makes the defense give you a different look. It's hard to say, without knowing what he's got. That's what I hate about just the unknown of Henry coming back, because he could come in and carry it 30 times, run for 180 yards, and you sit there and go, well, yeah, I should have expected this. Even though I couldn't really expect it, I should have expected this. Or he could run it 10 times, and be ineffective. And then what do you say? You're like, well, of course. Like, we just sat here. We didn't play, forever. So it is a pretty big unknown, but it's not just an unknown for us. It's unknown for Cincinnati.
Yeah. I was about to say, you don't have to worry about scheming up a defense. You and I just are going to sit back and critique it, and you don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to turn this guy loose and absolutely have him just gnaw on the Cincinnati line, which very well could happen.